Hello, this is the time where I'm calling out to you, and it's time that we improve our crochet once again, because there's always more things to sharpen your saw, to get better at crocheting than just practicing, because I would say we practice a lot, but honestly there's just a lot of things that you just have to hear once and it will make your life a lot easier. You'll be a million times better at crocheting. But in this video I have 10 different ways that we're going to improve our crochet for the future. What am I currently crocheting? I would try to talk and do this at the same time, but I really can't. But it's like a flower. It's gonna be like a pullover, and it's so cute. I love it. This brings me to my first point that I have, and this kind of is more just like a fashion sense, more clothing type of way. This is clothing specific, I guess you could say, or pillow or anything. But depending on the type of person you are, fashion wise, if the color isn't popping or the standing out piece of the crochet, then you want the stitch to do the talking. So what I mean by that is, if you are making a crochet piece, a pillow, a bag, or whatever, if you're not using a whole bunch of colors, or you don't feel like using a whole bunch of colors or stripes or whatever, then you need to spice up the stitch. I feel like, in my opinion, personally, when you're just using half double crochet or something like that, and it's all just one color, I feel like that kind of takes away from the uniqueness that is crochet. Obviously do it, girl. I have made the amount of sweaters I have that are all the same color. That is what I love to do, and especially it just goes with outfits and everything, and cardigans and everything. But we're talking about next level, where to the point where like, that's handmade, that's rare, that's a unique, that's an antique, that's an heirloom type stuff, right? Because I'm not cursing on this channel, type ish. But this is where you start to come in, and this is a plain color. I can like very specifically see where I messed up, but whatever. It's a plain color, but then you let the stitch do the talking. We're like, this is a very unique stitch that you can tell just has intricate workings and looks like a flower and is beautiful. But at the same time, the stitches that it's using are pretty simple. It's just chains and triple crochet. That's pretty much what I'm doing this whole time, and honestly it's very satisfying to watch. But if you're just feeling a certain type of vibe, what I did is I went on YouTube and I was like, give me a flower stitch. I want a flower stitch, and I just felt so good. And then for Valentine's Day I was just like, give me a heart stitch. I need a heart stitch. And I just made different variations of the stitches that I knew, and I'm so proud. I just feel so much prouder. It looks so unique and it's so beautiful and it's amazing. That brings me to my next point, is that learning new crochet stitches is just another way to build your crochet palette, I guess you could say. Once you learn the basics, which I'm gonna go through it, we'll start off smallest to biggest. So slip stitch, chain, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, triple crochet, you're basically done. That's all you need to know. Even a bit of, I guess, granny skirts in the mix, but that's technically still double crochet. Once you know those, you can do anything. That's pretty much all you need. I actually recently bought, what is that called? I bought I think it's like 100 crochet stitches book, or I got it for Christmas. My mother-in-law got it for me on Christmas, and I have been raking through it. As you know, through and through, I'm a half double crochet girl. I'm telling you, my next tattoo is gonna be HDC. I think I need to get it where I hold my yarn. Let me just see real quick. I feel you feel. I didn't realize that when people buy tension rings and stuff, I didn't realize that people don't just use their fingers as tension rings. Oh, it will be right here because I look at my finger on. That would be so cute. I'm definitely getting that. Anyways, but what was the point? I don't know where it's going with that whole thing because I distracted myself. Moral of the story, learn new stitches, look up anything on YouTube, and I promise you, watching it does make a lot more sense than reading it depending on the stitch. But there's just so many cute stitches that up it, and then you just could turn really basic things. As you know, I'm a sweater and cardigan girl, but anything that requires rectangles, squares, so it's like bags, pillows, all that jazz. Once you learn a basic stitch, you can literally, like, this could be a stitch for a bag, a blanket, a cardigan, you can just turn anything into anything, and it's so cute. But like I was saying, this wouldn't look good if it was multiple colors, if I did stripes, or maybe it would. I don't know, that might be too much for me to comprehend in this moment. So the next one is, if you're type B like me, where I just don't feel like doing anything ever, you don't really use stitch markers. But stitch markers come in handy and are most necessary when you're sewing things together. If you do not use it for anything else, use it when you're sewing things together because you want them to be lined up. Too many times I have not used stitch markers, and no matter what you do, you end up messing it up somehow. Always use stitch markers when you're sewing together, because even when you think, oh, it's lined up, it's gonna be too little at the end, too big at the end, and then you have to scrunch it up, and then your sleeve is gonna be like all, it's just a mess. Just if you don't use stitch markers for anything else, take 5 seconds and use it to line up all the parts of when you're sewing pieces together. That even like mirror, when you're sewing it together, put 1 every 5 stitches for all I care, just to make sure, until you're comfortable with your sewing skills. And then when we're talking about sewing things together and things in general, weaving in your ends really, it just makes you feel better, because I don't know about me personally, but it is so rare that I wear my crochet pieces, and one thing I'm never gonna do, I'm never gonna wear them if I have a weave. If I have an end sticking out and I didn't weave in my ends. That is one thing I'm never gonna do. So you honestly, you wanna do it as you go. If it's a big project, I wish you would make me crochet a big project that took so much time and color changing, and then you want me to weave in the ends after. I know. Don't set yourself up for failure. If you know you're not gonna do it at the end, just do it while you're crocheting. And another part of that is learn invisible knot. If you don't know invisible knot already, it's good for changing yarn. And honestly, times I end up using it the most is when I'm knotting my yarn that I'm currently crocheting with. This cannot be unknotted. I must have went through a tornado with it, frogged or whatever the heck, and there's a big knot. What I usually do is I cut it when I want to lose my mind, and I tried unknotting it for 20 seconds. You cut it, and then you just tie an invisible knot to reattach the yarn without having to cut a bunch off, without being a big knot, stuff like that. But mostly I use it for when I'm changing colors. That has literally become a game changer. I don't know how I even changed colors before I had invisible knot, because that was literally, it just wouldn't get done. And I know people have said that theirs has undone, but me personally, I have not had it undo itself. And you just really want to tug. Not too hard to the point you rip the yarn, strong behind crocheter, but to the point where it's tight, it's snug, it's not going anywhere. But definitely learn invisible knot. This is actually one I just made this video, I recorded just 2 hours ago, is testing your blocking. So what I mean by that, if you're gonna block a piece, I would do a gauge swatch, but that one blocks. Take a deep breath. I said gauge swatch, but that doesn't mean you have to freak out. Do a gauge swatch, and a tiny one. It doesn't have to be big. Just make yourself a little rectangle. Not asking for too much. Make yourself a little rectangle. Measure the rectangle, how wide it is, how tall it is. Block it how you normally would. So if you're steaming it, if you're soaking it, or whatever you're doing, how you normally block it, measure the afters, and then calculate the proportions of difference. So you're knowing that, like, if this was 2 inches long and now it's 4 inches long, then I know that if I'm crocheting 10 inches long, it's gonna end up being 20 inches when I block it. And that would just come in handy, especially if you're doing something that you plan on wearing, because you were restretching the heck out of some of these pieces and my sleeves be looking mad long. But that can come in handy when you're blocking things in general. Sometimes I'm definitely a girl of the oversized look, but if you want it to be something that you want it to fit for real, then sometimes you can make it a little bit smaller depending on what you want to do. But that definitely is useful to measure before, so that you know how it's gonna go when you're blocking. And if you use that yarn and hook size over and over again, then you'll know you don't have to keep guessing how many blocking. Just write that down somewhere, keep it in your notes, and then you're gonna be that same way it blocks every single time. This is one I currently am learning. Getting used to frogging. It's okay to frog. I feel like sometimes we see this huge mistake. We see that somehow we missed 5 stitches 20 rows back, and we're just like, you know what? I refuse to frog. I refuse to start over. But girl, when I tell you, this is probably my 20th time making this, and it's gonna be like cover up, right? So what's the problem, Bella? Why do you keep having to frog it? All I needed to do is wrap around my chest, and for some reason, every single time I go to measure it, it's always too tight. This is the first time it's not, but all the other times it was literally like squeezing me. I kid you not, I measured this thing 100 times, and I just had to keep redoing it because I was like, oh, it's kind of tight, but it doesn't have to be. No, if I didn't frog it, I would be so mad in the end. And that's another reason why I'll never wear certain stuff, because if I know, like, no one's gonna see that mistake, but me knowing that I made that mistake, I'm gonna know. Just get used to frogging, get in the habit. You're gonna kick yourself so much. It's gonna be worth it, because as crocheters, we know no one else is gonna notice, but you yourself are gonna notice, and you just won't feel as good as you would feel if it was really perfect and really just fit good and all the stitches were right. It's not to the extreme. If you're missing one stitch, like, relax. That's not worth all your time. But if it's like something obvious or it's just not fitting right, definitely just check everything in the beginning, because I measured this 100 times. What I kept doing is I kept measuring the starting chain, and this is not a tip, but this is just a fact. For the most part, do not use starting chain as a measurement. Use the first few rows as a measurement, because it's gonna change. The starting chain is not how wide this is. It ends up being smaller. Take it from me, because I had to do it 100 times. Honestly, I'm a bit confused, because I thought everyone was center pulling. I didn't realize that some of you don't. Like, that's why I can never really invest in one of those yarn bowls or the yarn spinners, because why aren't you center pulling? I don't know, maybe you're new to crochet, you just see the string on the outside, so you're like, I'm not gonna center pull, but please always center pull. I actually will literally dig into the depths of my crochet skeins? I just still don't know, before I don't center pull. If I can't find this, even though I don't understand the whole smacking thing, like people are like, oh, smack for the center pull string. That has never worked for me, and I'd be hitting the heck out of these, whatever. But it just doesn't work for me. But if you're not center pulling, I don't understand. It's just me, it's just there. It's so much better. Like, when you're on the outside, your thing is going like this every 5 seconds. It's literally rolling across. I don't understand. Please just center pull. If I ever see you not, I don't understand. Unless it's a ball of yarn, even then I still find a way to center pull. I still just keep one end out. Just please. I don't even want to think about the people who don't. I don't even want to think about it. This is an iffy one, but try freehand crocheting. I really think once you try it, you will never go back, and you will just have so much freedom. You're gonna make a lot of mistakes, but it just allows you to have so much more creative freedom, and allows you to just make a piece that no one else has made, and it's just amazing, and it just gives you so much freedom. I have freehand crocheted, well, pretty much everything, because I'm just that girl, but well, I haven't free crochet, but I will find knitting pieces. My sister sent me a knit cardigan that she wanted, and I crocheted it, because I'm just like, once you just unlock that reality of freehand crochet, you can do it. I always relate to this in my brain, and I've never shared this, because a lot of things my boyfriend doesn't understand. He's the only one I talk to, so he just doesn't get it. But if you watched the Lego movie, right, and they're all master builders, right, they do not need any instructions how to build. They literally just see it and they build it, and that's their superpower. That's how it feels like to freehand crochet. I'm like, oh, I see it, I built it, I crochet it, it's mine now. I see it on a website I want to buy, it's mine now, I crochet it, it's mine, thank you. And I just feel like that is such a good way to get out of your comfort zone. All the life coaches are always like, you gotta be uncomfortable to grow. Can I just be me? Can I just be comfort crocheting? But no, we have to be uncomfortable and crochet and learn how to freehand crochet. Obviously, if you're a beginner, I would learn all the stitches first and get the gist, but like play around a little bit. I always say this, if you wanna get into freehand crocheting, watch a video of the basic way to make anything. So like examples, the basic way to make a sweater. You make a panel, back panel, sleeves. If you wanna watch my how to crochet any sweater video, that's where I encourage you guys how to freehand crochet. But besides the point, you learn the basics, and then you can mix it up a little. Learn this stitch. I could easily, which I probably will do for you guys, learn how to freehand crochet, but still follow my tutorials and buy all my patterns. But I learned the stitch, right? So since I know how to make a sweater, I just literally have to just turn the stitch into a sweater. Most of crocheting is just rectangles. I'm not gonna lie to you. And don't associate me with amigurumi. It's not in me. But this next tip is low-key for amigurumi, but can work for other things. The last one I have is invisible decrease. If you are not doing an invisible decrease, I don't know, because I don't know, they just be obvious. When you're crocheting and you just see the decrease, I don't like seeing it. I want to know that my stitch disappeared without me knowing. So what you basically do anytime you do any kind of decrease, for the most part, this is the cleanest with single crochet decrease, but it can work for any decrease, is you're just gonna do a regular decrease how you normally would by combining the two stitches. But instead of working in the regular stitch, you're just gonna work in the front loop of the stitch. So you know how you have the V and it's like this, and you like crochet under it? You're only gonna do the one that faces you. The back one is the one that's not facing you. You're only gonna put your hook into the one front hoop, and then you put it into the first, and then you put it into the second, and then you decrease it together, and it's so invisible and cute. Because girl, when I used to make amigurumi, bro, it was always the decreases were my downfall, because why do I have these huge behind ugly gaps that looked crazy? I don't know, still can't do it too. But that's all I have today. I hope you guys learned something new. I really try to always spice these up because I could give you guys the basic tips, which we might need a refresher. Honestly, on YouTube, we just do the yearly refresher. Lock your pieces, learn how to have tension, use the right weight yarn and hook, stuff like that. But you have your basic ones, and I want you guys to do the deeper thinking that are really gonna improve you to be the best crocheter that you can be, because this is the stuff that I really had to push. Honestly, you need me and Half Double Crochet are twin-in-ums, but you have to get your comfort zone and make these beautiful pieces, because I wouldn't, if I stuck to my Half Double Crochet girl, which she will be back, best believe, I want to have this beautiful flower stitch. But thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.